Hello, and welcome to a new Let's Play that I'm doing of Slytherin's new iOS port from Shenandoah Studios, Drive on Moscow, or Moscow, depending on how you pronounce it. I'd like to preface this by saying I've played the iPad version of this, and I love it. It's one of the few strategy games I can go back and replay constantly without feeling bored about it, due to really three factors. The first is it's super simple to learn and use and implement large grand battle strategy tactics and feel like you're doing something major without having to spend, you know, a few years of your life figuring out how to play the game. The AI is actually pretty decent. Like, the few times I have won, or well, I say a few times, the times I have won, it's been a push. I've been doing some desperate things and gotten some decent rolls, which have just managed to eke me out in front. Just enough to break through and then do some classic blitzkrieg and explode out the back. But that initial line, sometimes it comes down to a few die rolls. To be honest, I need a bit better strategy, I think. And third, because it is so simple, you will never run out of opponents. For example, one of my closest games, I literally played against my mom. She is not very good at video games, any of them. Yet she can play this one competently. Also, the Russians have a lot of people, so it's really helpful for them. The Germans don't have as many people, so it's... if you're more... I don't use the word defensive, but if you're more... if you keep your casualties contained better... casualties a bit more contained, a bit lower, go Germans. If you're all about that, just losing men en masse, you should go with the rest of these. So we're going to start a new computer game. We're going to play the Moscow campaign against Zhukov, because I did a coin flip to see if I'd play as the Germans or the Soviets. And, well, looks like it's the Soviets. I feel like that's too quiet. Let's go. Bump it up a bit. Play computer equipment. The entire offensive in the Soviet riposte. So there's, of course, there are 4 operations. The first 3 are different sectors, or sections, in the Moscow campaign. The whole campaign is the whole thing. You have Operation Typhoon, which is the opening assault at the gates, which is where the Soviets need to keep the Germans from punching them in the nuts, and Zhukov's counterattack, where the Germans try not to freeze to death or get shot to death. We're going to be playing Zhukov because I know him, and because he's also... Long story short, let's get to the game. I'll try and explain this game a bit as I go... I will try and explain this game a bit as we go along, because it can be a bit confusing. And then I'll explain my tactics. So the game works on a system of things called, impulse turns, such as if I oh, well, this is a special thing, but if I click on, let's see, Shostka, here, the 3rd Panzer Division and the 4th Panzer Division will be activated, because they're the units in there. I can then move these units to wherever I want during my impulse. Then it will switch to the Soviets, who will then move. This can be changed by special rules and things, which I will explain as they come up. But, for the most part, that's more or less how the gameplay goes. So, people we want to keep off the front lines. Now, I believe, let's pop over to the briefing. Our objectives. It's Russian music. Germans. We will win by taking Moscow, surrounding Moscow, or just taking the rest of Russia. That'll work too. We lose for defense if we lose for Russia. We only lose for defense if our people die, because the Soviets don't care about people lost. During the first turn, the Soviets are, I don't use the term scared shitless, but they're confused as fuck. They were not expecting us to attack. at the beginning of winter, like so close to the end of summer. I mean, this means we're going to take rather light casualties, so we want to capitalize on our initial strike here. And then this also brings up the turn to prepare defensive logs, but this is the next turn. And the next tab. They can't move an attack if they are push the space mouse. So they can't attack us from their own places. Hitler, could you shut up? I'll turn that down. So that means if we have some guys in the same space as them, they won't be able to shoot at us, which is great because it means we can plan for blocking maneuvers. Prepared offensives are great. If we get to attack them, they don't get to shoot back. Supply. This entire game revolves around supply. This is a supply map. You'll see me pull this up frequently to figure out how to best kill Soviets. The best way to kill Soviets is to starve them. Weather. Turns out the weather can suck. Balls. The first 5 turns, these will get air support, and it'll be super useful, and you'll get to see it real soon. Mud sucks balls. Frost can be a lot quicker. Well, the mud sucks. The frost is really great for when you want to set up the mud for a defensive place, and then the frost will be your next attack, and the snow and the Soviet shot. It's all horrible. Air prediction is great. Basically, you select a unit, the Soviets have to move it. And then there's a great history portion here, which I will say I recommend you buy the game if you want. Oh yeah, and Soviet cavalry and airborne do not need resupply from these things. So if we would circle a cavalry unit or an airborne unit, tough shit, they still get supply. So you just get to enjoy it. So in general, our strategy is going to revolve heavily around the bottom. First 5 turns, I want to spin with some classic blitzkrieg. We want to hit their lines, shatter them, and then explode out the back with mechanized units. Turns and only use our infantry only for one spot when either we are mopping up something that used to be mopped and nothing else to do, or they're moving in conjunction with an armored assault to break the line, or they're forming up into a large strike conflict. During the mud, we will probably try and focus more on infantry unless the armor and mechanized units can do attacks of opportunity, as they'll probably be at the front line. This will be so our infantry who make a massive combat portion can catch up with everything else, and they'll also probably do a lot of the operation in the rear during this time, because no one can really move so far, so you might as well kill the Soviets behind you. During the frost, the mud is going to be spent getting time. The mud is going to be spent gradually shifting people around to get ready for the frost. When everything freezes, we can finally cross lakes, and defenses are damn nigh useless. That's the point at which we explode at Moscow, and we need to take Moscow during the turns 12 to 17. Or at least get right at the gates. I mean take like the victory points right in front of Moscow. During the snow, the Soviets will start the counterattack, and we need to be breathing down our necks, such that we're able to maintain the initiative during turns 18 to 22. And it is possible to maintain the initiative. We get hit by a few Soviet units, but you want to make sure that you weaken them so severely that they can't attack with anything left. Our end goal is to kill the Soviet army by turn 17. And also, we are going to try and encircle the armies here. The armies between Spastas, Minsk, Dolgobro, Yartsevo, and Yelnya. Yelnyan. The 108th Tank Division. I don't suspect that they'll be moving too much, and I don't really think the Soviets will attack from this position, so we have the 13th Army pinned in a good defensive position. By pinned, I mean they'll probably stay there, which means these panzer divisions can most likely explode out north along this route towards Orel and Kursk. So there's a few people we want to keep pinned up. That's just a militia unit, we don't really care about them too much. The question is, who do we not want to be moving? Who is it crucial stays in one place that we can encircle them? And That may indeed fall to the 22nd Army, because that'll pin the 31st Army in place, because there'll be no one to replace them. And if we can take Rzhev without a fight, that will be wonderful, because Rzhev almost always turns into a meat grinder for me. Until I'm able to surround it, but it's horrible because there's forests, and the Soviets typically spread out, and forests are horrible, and you just avoid them at all costs, until it gets frosty. So we'll probably try and probably try and pin them up there, have the Panzers, the 2nd, 10th, and 11th Panzer Divisions break out north towards Vyazma, Spastominsk, and Kirov, while the 3rd and 4th Panzer Divisions will break out north from Oravka, Novozvoda, and Lvov, and Oravka, Svinsky, Kromy, with the intent of setting up attacks on Orel and Kursk, and threatening the Soviet rear over here. So I want my main push to come on the left and the center, with the 1st, 6th, and 7th Panzer Division not being expected to make the greatest gains at Vladimirskoye. Vladimirskoye. I think I pronounced that like spot on. I'm really happy with myself. And we'll probably take most of them out in hopes that we can draw out the 29th Army or the Davotar Army. Yeah, alright. So the 31st is really the only people who can move forward to do that, so prepare defensives. How many do we have? I'm gonna check this again. We have some. That'll let the Soviets retreat. There's a high chance of the Soviets retreating there. What's our chance over here? What's our chance of killing them all? It is really good. If we were to advance into here, yeah, that place is a meat grinder. I just wanted to check, because if we got a good roll on here, I might take it. But that place can be a bitch to take, so we're just going to avoid it. We'll probably do a prepared offensive with the push ship. Or is it maybe Russia? Russia? I know the Russians like to appease czars. Shostka. Zhukovka. Well, I suppose our initial objective is to get to Moscow, so to take Sunichi would be a good objective. Let's go ahead and try and kill him here. What's this? We have a prepared defensive. Okay, so here's the few modifiers you can see. We have a prepared offensive, and they're defending against armor, which really sucks for them. Also, we're attacking with armor, which is a plus to us. No, we're elite, which gives us a plus. Understanding die rolls can be great, but screw that. Let's just fight. We're not really shooting. So here you can see the Soviets managed to actually hold this area, surprisingly. We'll probably break through next turn, but it's not a real blow to our plan to just try and explode out that way. So now our plan will more or less revolve around us exploding out of Vladimirskoye, and I suppose Shostka can wait, since this portion of the plan needs to prevail now. And there goes the rest of the Soviet unit. They have more or less exploded, and we can now show up Blitzkrieg tactics here, which is Blitzkrieg tactic. We have 4 there, and 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. Works for me. And this will keep the 49th Army pinned. So we've already managed to break out here, so we'll probably begin a turn. We'll probably take our initial turn with motorized divisions, the Lamb Motorized Brigade and such, up into there, to shore up our flanks so that the 7th Panzer can charge into Tsinkoye at the next turn. And I think we have a 3rd one, so we will try and destroy the They managed managed to hold as well. And they moved troops in to deal with the 7th Panzer almost immediately. The Soviets take massive losses trying to combat the 7th Panzer Division, though they knocked them down to almost bottom strength is the wrong term, but you guys know what I mean. So it's giving me a 1 and a 2. I don't really want them to retreat, though, is the thing. I want them to be stuck in there, and then I want to kill them. A lot of tactics here will revolve around pinning the Soviets. This area can be horrible to take. I know this, like, for a fact. So we're going to spread out here and try to immediately threaten these 2 flanks. Now these Soviets should be cut off. If they try and... oh, they're going to do that. Damn. Alright, well that's not horrible. They managed to build themselves a bigger pocket, but we now have to go get the 1st and 6th Panzer Division. Basically unheard of. We could still break through the rear here and just basically barrel through Spasdominsk to there. Not a terrible idea. We may in fact go ahead and do such a thing. Yeah, if we can break through here and break through here. Shouldn't be easy, but it should be doable. The eastern flank, southern flank in this case, I suppose, can wait. I don't suppose I would have just throw all my motorized troops in here. You'd do very well, would you? No? Alright. I didn't think so. We could still encircle this army group. I tend to actually have this wind up happening a lot in my initial strategy. There you go. Soviets retreat. It's not as good. We don't get the breakthrough we wanted, which is a bit annoying. And they're bringing their militia forward to Moshesovsky. A bit annoyed. Got some low rolls there. We could pull our Panzer Divisions back to try and do that, or we could try and facilitate a breakthrough on the the southern front to divert resources from the Soviets, or we could wait for them to pour resources in here to contain this attack, and try and do that way. Could of course try and take this area, and if they retreat we will own it and they'll have to come dislodge us. And they've taken some pretty hefty casualties. We could just disable one of them next turn and pretty much pin them in place. It must be the Großdeutschland regiment. I'm going for the breakthrough in the east. That is a terrible first turn. Actually, hold on. How far can you guys move? Oh, they can only move up into there, so... we're going to immediately try and break through here. Because such a move does threaten the Soviet southern flank, if only a little bit. I'm trying to think of how to make a breakthrough here. May as well. Good job. Good job. We could break through to Rzhev, and they'd be supplied. And it'd pin the 31st Army in place and give them a defensive fire bonus if they need it. We could also try breaking the other army through deeper into Vyazma, or to Dorogoburz. If we try and break through the Rzhev, we've pretty much taken away our whole idea of flanking them. So we're going to try and take this area somehow. So probably the 1st Panzer Division. Go here, we've taken that much area. We will then need to take Yorinov, which we can do by pushing into here and then blitzing out that way. This should work. They'll be encircled and tired. It should work. They'll be circled. So 31st Army cannot move. In terms of people to get resupplied, we have 1 armor point. That's probably going to go to the 7th Panzer unless I find someone way better. It is going to the 7th Panzer because there is no one down as low. The 2nd Panzer has taken a mild hit, but they're nowhere as close as the 7th Panzer. Yeah, it's not that we lose victory points if we lose up there. It's if we lose an entire division. So we'll go ahead and commit that. And, oh, I've just remembered how I was going to do my turns. I was going to do 1 for each turn. So at that was the end of the 1st turn. You've now seen a bit of how the game is played, as well as a single turn of combat. Please stay tuned for the 2nd turn. We see if we can break this Soviet, deadlock's not the right word. Hold right here. This tentative hold they have on us right there. Anyway, all that and more in the next part, where we try and blitz the hell out of them. I'll see you all then.